Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dr. Baer Fuad, and we are continuing the concept of accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the last session, we talked about tests and trials and that we need to learn from them and improve as human beings. Today, we are going to talk about life is full of temptation and how can we control our vain desires. The Quran explains to us in Surah Al-Imran, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنطَرَةِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حُسْنُ الْمَآبِ. Fair in the eyes of men is the things that they love and covet, like women and sons, and gold and silver, and branded horses, cattle, and well-tilled land. This is the enjoyment of this worldly life, but to Allah is the best of final determination. وفي سورة الحديد, the ayah in chapter 57, the Quran, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم. Know that this worldly life is just play, amusement, and pomp, and boasting among yourselves. وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد, multiplication in money and children. كمثل غيث أعجب الكفار نباته ثم يهيج فتراه مصفرا ثم يكون حطاما وفي الآخرة عذاب شديد ومغفرة من الله ورضوان وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. Allah is giving the example of this worldly life like rain that produces growth that delights the heart of the tillers, and then it grows old, it becomes yellow, it crumbles, and in the hereafter there is penalty but also forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His good pleasure. So there are many temptations in this life. If we fall into temptation and allow our vain desires to control us, then we will become slaves to those desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. Do you see the one that he has taken his vain desires to be his God? And Allah, knowing that, He left him in his misguidance. وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. He sealed his hearing and his heart. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً, and put a veil over his eyesight. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. Who is going to guide him apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No one. So this person was left misguided because he refused to obey Allah and he refused to receive divine guidance, and Allah left him in his misguided way. And this is something we have to avoid. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives us the example of Qarun. Qarun was a wealthy member of the children of Israel, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him many treasures, that the keys to these treasures would not be, a group of men could not be able to lift them up, just to illustrate how much rich he is. إذ قال له قومه لا تفرح إن الله لا يحب الفرحين وابتغي فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك ولا تبغي الفساد في الأرض إن الله لا يحب المفسدين. His people told him, do good as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was good to you. Do not forget your share of enjoyment in this life, and do not spread evil or corruption on earth. Allah loves not those who spread evil and corruption. What was his response? قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي. I got it because of I deserve it. I have certain knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of his arrogance, destroyed him and destroyed his house. Now, if we allow our desires to control us, we become slaves to these desires. أفرأيت من اتخذ إله هواه. Do you see the one that he has taken for his God his own vain desires? He wants to do everything to satisfy his desires. So it is important for us to learn how to control our desires. Now, there is nothing wrong in enjoying the good and lawful things in life in moderation. قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق. Who has made forbidden the good and lawful things that Allah has produced for His servants. Such enjoyment should be, number one, in moderation. والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما. الآية في سورة الفرقان, the criterion, chapter 25 in the Quran. Those, when they spend, they are not spendthrift and they are not misers, but they follow a just balance between these two extremes. وفي سورة الإسراء, chapter 17, ولا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محسورا. Do not let your hand be tied to your neck, meaning that you are not spending at all, and do not outstretch it all the way, because then you are going to be blameworthy and destitute. So we have to strike a just balance between these two extremes. Also, we need to avoid what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made unlawful, the sins, particularly the major sins. And these are mentioned in Surah Al-An'am, the Cattle, chapter 6, verse 151, 152, and 153. قل تعالوا أتلوا ما حرم ربكم عليكم ألا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا. Come, let me relate to you what your Lord has made forbidden on you, to worship others besides Him and not to be good or kind to your parents. And these major sins are shirk billah, worshipping others besides Allah, not being good or kind to our parents or abusing them, and murder, adultery, shameful deeds, lying, stealing, giving false measure and weight, lying, giving false testimony, not fulfilling the covenant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not obeying Allah's orders, following a way other than the way of Allah. وأن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون. This is my way, leading straight, follow it. Don't follow other paths, because it will scatter you from the path of Allah. Thus does He command you in order that you may become righteous. Now, if we become slaves to our desires, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the example, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا عَبْدًا مَمْلُوكًا لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. Allah gave the example of a slave who has no power whatsoever of his own, and he cannot do anything. وَمَنْ رَزَقْنَاهُ مِنَّا رِزْقًا حَسَنًا. And another man to whom we gave a good sustenance, فَهُوَ يُنْفِقُ مِنْهُ سِرًّا وَجَهْرًا. And he spent out of Allah's sustenance, both openly and secretly. هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَانِ. Are they equal? Alhamdulillah, but أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. All praise is to Allah, but most of them understand not. Now, so spending in moderation, avoiding what Allah has made forbidden, and appreciating Allah's sustenance and blessings on us by not just using it for our pleasure, but sharing it with others. Because if we don't, then our reward will be punishment in hellfire. ويوم يعرض الذين كفروا على النار أذهبتم طيباتكم في حياتكم الدنيا واستمتعتم بها فاليوم تجزون عذاب الهون بما كنتم تستكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق وبما كنتم تفسقون. الآية في سورة الأحقاف chapter 46 in the Quran. On the day that the unbelievers will be placed before the fire, and it will be said to them, you have spent all the good things that were given to you in this worldly life, and today you are going to face humiliation because you were arrogant on earth and you were rebellious. So controlling our vain desires. Now, how can we control our vain desires? Number one, obeying Allah's orders. Number two, turning to Him, seeking His guidance and protection. Number three, prayer and fasting will help us. Number four, patiently persevering. And number five, turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obeying Him and becoming righteous and seeking His protection against Satan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that if we are righteous, then He will protect us. إِنَّ عِبَادِي لَيْسَ لَكَ عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانٌ وَكَفَى بِرَبِّكَ وَكِيلًا. You have no authority over my servants. Enough is your Lord as a guardian. Al-ayah in Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17 of the Quran. And إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. Those who are righteous, when an evil thought of Satan assaults them, they bring Allah to remembrance. Lo and behold, they can see their way clearly. And فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنه ليس له سلطان على الذين آمنوا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. When you recite the Quran, seek protection of Allah from Satan the cursed. He has no authority over those who believe and put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to summarize what I want to relate to you today, life is full of temptations. If we allow ourselves to fall into these temptations and follow and obey our vain desires, we become slaves to these desires. But if we do our best to control our vain desires, we become masters of ourselves, and the best way is to behave in a righteous way, attain taqwa, and turn to Allah seeking His protection. استغفر الله إنه سميع قريب مجيب الدعاء.